I don't think there's a player who did more for their own reputation in these playoffs than Jaylen Brown. After a disastrous 2023 conference finals, followed by a controversial contract extension that made him the highest paid player in the NBA, people were down on Jaylen going into this season. However, while his numbers were down this year compared to his second team All-NBA campaign the previous season, it was clear he was a significantly better player, and that showed in the 2024 NBA playoffs where he won both conference and finals MVP. What impressed me most about Jaylen in these playoffs wasn't just about the numbers, it was about what he showed on tape, because on tape it looked like he figured it out. But quickly, before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and notify whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways can help me on YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and I'll move you to my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend to others. Anyways, let's talk about Jaylen Brown. Jaylen is a monster in pressure threat. In these playoffs, he saw an absurd 71.1% at the rim on 7.1 attempts per game. He has one of the best athletic profiles in the league. He's physical, he's explosive, he's quick, he's fast, he's impossible to contain 1v1 for a majority of wings in the league in the half court when he attacks the basket. He's a monster in transition, he has great body control, and what impressed me most was the fact that he played more to this than we've seen in years past. In the past, he would settle for dumb shots, but now, this season, I feel like he's realized he's 6'7", 220 pounds, and one of the best athletes in the NBA. And his efficiency and assertiveness attacking the rim showed in these playoffs. We can point to a lot of reasons why Boston was so dominant in the playoffs, but Jaylen's aggression attacking the basket is a major factor in this run. He only needs 2 to 3 dribbles to get to the rim. Nobody really could contain him attacking the basket in these playoffs, which led to some of the most impressive wing scoring numbers at the rim I've ever seen. There's been this belief that forcing Jaylen to drive left makes him less effective, and for most of his career that's been true. It hasn't been as much of a case in these playoffs, however. But even then, I think there's something that people forget when bringing up the idea of forcing Jaylen to drive left. It's a lot easier to say you should force him left than actually forcing him left. Not many players have the athleticism and strength to dictate which way Jaylen drives, which is why I think people forget about the 2023 playoffs. He was great in the opening 2 rounds of that playoff run. The Heat were the only team with the personnel to really force him left. And during this title run, nobody really had the athleticism to force him left, and even when he was forced left, he was way more effective than years past. One of the most fun developments with Jaylen over the course of his NBA career has been his mid-range shooting. In the playoffs, he's at 45.7% on 4.9 attempts per game. He's developed into one of the best pull-up mid-range shooters in the NBA. He's up there with guys like DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Durant in terms of being able to get to his spots and rise and fire at an efficient rate. He's very good in terms of his jump shot mechanics. In fact, I would say his jump shot mechanics are among the best in the NBA. He gets good elevation, his shot pocket is very fundamentally sound, and he has a good sense of being able to find balance when creating off the bounce in the mid-range. He's good at creating separation, he can hit contested shots, and for a player who's as good at getting to the rim as he is, having the mid-range shot is very valuable. My belief with the mid-range is that if you are elite at another level of the court, it can be extremely valuable. When you take a high volume number of shots from 3 and or at the rim, it can be used as a leverage. If you are an elite mid-range shooter, it is valuable when you're also good on 1 or 2 other levels of the court. It just gives defenses more to have to worry about. And Jaylen fits that description perfectly. Yes, layups and dunks are easier shots for NBA level athletes. Yes, 3-pointers are worth more points, and Jaylen does take a decent amount of threes. But if you're an elite mid-range shooter, it still is a valuable shot, which is why I never agreed with the idea that the mid-range is dead. If anything, the mid-range shot and how valuable it is can make you a complete player and one of the best in the NBA which is why I believe the mid-range is kind of what separates good scorers from great scorers. The other area, in fact I would say this is actually the biggest area where I saw improvement with Jaylen in these playoffs, was his playmaking. In no way am I saying he's taking this lead initiator leap. He's never going to be Luka Doncic, LeBron James, James Harden in his prime, or even a Larry Bird type of playmaker. But he did show legit growth in these playoffs. He played more in control. He made better reads. He was reading the floor better. He was more aware of those around him. He found cutters and shooters on drives better. His tunnel vision was better. He didn't force the issue as much. And even though it wasn't perfect, that improvement was very evident on tape. And that to me is a big reason why Boston made this run. When your two best players are finding ways to be impactful outside of scoring, that's valuable, especially when it's two wing players. Jaylen still has his limitations as a playmaker. He's a scorer-first player. He's going to have those limitations, and that's okay because it's not his job to be a point guard. But to me, if these playoffs are signs of things to come, this playmaking is enough to complement his scoring skill set to the point he solidifies himself as a top 15 to 20 player in the NBA, rather than that 20 to 30 range where he's usually ranked, because he's a very good scorer, but the playmaking is meant to question. If the playmaking is at this level moving forward, I don't think you can name 20 players in the NBA better than him when you factor everything else. And like with his ability to go left, this was a big moment that Jaylen proved to the world he's gotten better, he's learned from his mistakes and flaws, and has worked to improve on them. I was also very impressed with Jaylen's defense in these playoffs. In fact, I would say this was the best defense he's played, and honestly this season was the best defensive season of his career. I thought he was worthy of all defense. He's always been a great point of attack defender on the ball. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he has all the tools, but he was way more aware off the ball compared to prior seasons, and off-ball defense was the biggest flaw in his NBA career up to this point. And I think that he was way more locked in terms of being a help side rim defender, in terms of playing passing lanes. But what impressed me in the finals was actually his on-ball defense on Luka. He picked him up full court. He was somebody that made it hard for him. Luka still got his, of course, for the most part, but that's okay. Luka is one of those Jokic, Giannis, LeBron type of offensive talents where you never are going to truly slow them down. And making them slightly less efficient or slightly less productive is the closest thing you're going to get to stopping them. However, there's a reason he was picking up Luka full court. There was a reason Dallas was trying to switch Jaylen off of Luka whenever he was guarding him. He didn't make things easy for him. On top of that, he also held his own defensively against Kyrie as well. Jaylen's defense in the finals was incredible. The whole Boston Celtics team defense was incredible, but Jaylen had the toughest task. He was given the Luka assignment. In fact, he actively seeked out the Luka assignment, and he more than held his own. His activity was great, third on the team in blocks, first on the team in steals. In the finals, obviously, he looked more engaged. He wasn't a liability off the ball like in prior seasons for the most part, and because of that, Boston was able to win a title, and combined with his offense is why he won Finals MVP. We can argue all day about who deserved to win Finals MVP between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think it could have gone to either of them, and I wouldn't have been mad. Jaylen was more efficient, Tatum was a better playmaker. Both had their ups and downs, especially in Game 4, where they were uncharacteristically bad. But I do think Jaylen deserved to win the Finals MVP, mainly because he was the better of the two in the first 3 games, and he was their best performer in the most important game of the series for them, which was Game 3. In Game 3, Jaylen had 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists on 62 true shooting percentage. He was second on the team in box score plus minus at plus 13, which was also first among Boston starters. The next closest starter on Boston was only a plus 3, and 24 of those points came in the second half, where he not only had the best box score plus minus in the second half on his team at plus 15, it was the highest of any player in the second half of that game on either team, and one of just 2 players on either team with a double-digit box score plus minus in the second half, the other being Derek White. In the fourth quarter, he had 9 points, which led Boston, and was tied for the highest in that quarter with Kyrie Irving and PJ Washington, while only missing one shot within the arc in that quarter. He made big shots when Boston needed him to. When Dallas won that monster run, he hit the mid-range shot that basically iced the game. And along with Derek White, he's the reason that Boston basically iced that series in Game 3 to go up 3-0 instead of it being 2-1 because Dallas made one of the greatest comebacks in NBA history. Yes, he was bad in the final 2 games of the series from an efficiency standpoint, but in the first 3 games that Boston needed in order to basically ice this series and have the lead that no team has ever blown in NBA history, Jaylen was great. He was efficient. He was productive. He was a playmaker. He was great defensively. He realized he can't be stopped when he gets downhill. He realized he only needs 2 to 3 dribbles to get to his spots. He realized there's no athlete on the floor that can match his combination of size, speed, strength, quickness, and explosiveness. He realized his gravity as a player opens up looks for others, and he really showed what I saw in these playoffs. A player that heard the noise, a player that heard the slander. No handle, can't drive left, can't be a top 2 option on a title team, not worth that contract. Boston should have let him go, and he took it to heart. He played more in control. He played more to his strengths. He improved his finishing going left. He improved his playmaking. He became a top 2 option on a team that not only won the title, but also an all-time great team. Great players hear the noise and use it to motivate them to get better. And Jaylen in these playoffs is a prime example of that. He's not only a great player, he's one of the 15 to 20 best in the NBA now if this continues, and I think it will. Having a title under your belt gives you confidence that you can do this moving forward, now that a lot of that weight is off your back. He's not the only reason Boston won the title this year. When a team is as complete and dominant as they were this season from start to finish, no one player has a significantly bigger impact than the others. But Jaylen's improvement to become the best version of himself, playing more in control and getting better, playing more to his strengths, is a big reason why they won it all, and why Boston is going to be a problem for the rest of the NBA for a very long time. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and like and subscribing. It's 2 best ways can help me on the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Let me know what you think about Jaylen Brown. Let me know what you think about the Boston Celtics and this title run. Do you think it was legit, or do you think they had an easy path? Do you think that they were just the best team in the NBA from start to finish? Who do you think deserved to win Finals MVP? Was it Jaylen who actually won it? Or was it someone like Tatum who you thought should have won it because of the playmaking aspect to its game in these finals? Even the shooting wasn't great. I love all your thoughts in the comment section down below. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.